Hey, what's up? Hello everybody, my name is Katie and welcome back to my channel. So I'll be prepping my hair and putting it in a protective style for the new year. And so while I'm doing that, I want to go over 13 tips to grow and retain length this year. What I'm doing right now is I'm going to be pre-pooing my hair and detangling it. So you'll see me putting in some homemade oils that I mixed together and just rubbing that, working that through the hair. I spritz it with some water that I have that's just mixed with glycerin, and then putting that oil, and I'm also putting in some castor oil, I believe, to really help with locking in that moisture to get ready for when I do wash my hair. And I wanted to slow down the video to show you how slow I'm actually going and how careful I'm actually being with the hair right now. When I was sped up, it obviously looked a lot faster, but I wanted to slow that down to show you exactly the speed I'm going at. And that's just to say that, I'm not doing it fast, I'm not being rough, I'm trying to be as gentle as possible and work my way through that. Anyways, on to the tips. So 13 tips to grow hair and retain length this year. My first tip is to resolve any deficiencies you might have. There are a number of vitamins and minerals that goes hand in hand into growing hair and making it stronger. Right? So it's iron, there's zinc, the vitamin D. There are so many things. So you could do your own research to see what vitamins and what minerals help with growing hair. But the problem is, if you're deficient in any of these vitamins or minerals, it will not help you grow your hair, because those things are essential for your body as well, for your bodily functions, right? And so it's not going to go to growing your hair. Even if you're taking some amount in, because you're deficient, there's no extra amount that is going to go into making your hair grow. And so you have to make sure you fix any of those deficiencies first, and once that's fixed, then anything else is just extra, and that will, that way your hair will grow, because it's not going to go into sort of like, oh, the body's gonna make sure it uses it for these functions only and nothing goes towards your hair. You'll have some to allocate to these different areas, and so your hair will get some as well. So now I'm gonna be washing and shampooing my hair. So I'm just showing you all the products I'm gonna be using. I'm just using a regular shampoo, and I have apple cider vinegar, so I wanted to do like an apple cider vinegar rinse as well. And I had like a little bit of like the Aztec clay powder, so I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna use that as well. But my washing routine video didn't make it. I made like a homemade mixture of avocado and eggs, because this is going to be like my protective style. I'm trying to keep this in for as long as possible. So I mixed like avocado with eggs for like some strengthening, with some conditioner, and I put like some oils in there, like castor oil and whatever, and I use that as my conditioner. Left that in for a little bit, rinse that out, and then probably do like a regular hair mask. Left it in for a little bit, rinsed it out, and yeah, just put in some little leave-in conditioner at the end. Anyways, moving on to the rest of my tips. Tip number 2 is wear a protective style, which is exactly what I'm doing right now, which is what this video is pretty much about, that you're watching me putting in a protective style. Wear a protective style. Protective styles, they do a number of things, right? They make sure that individual strands are not compromised. When you twist your hair together, you braid it together, you plait it together, whatever your choice of protective style is, that just means that those little single strands are not getting rubbed upon everything. They're not getting tugged and pulled quite easily. So in that state, all bounded together, they are protected. And you can even go further to make sure that in that protected style, your ends are tucked away. That the ends are the most fragile part of your hair. And so if those are tucked away, then there's even less chance of breakage and more chance to retain length. But definitely a protective style is the first place to start, because you can wash your hair in that style, you can moisturize it in that style, and you're just not doing as much manipulating as you would do if your hair was out, right? So that's the tip number 2, wear a protective style. So number 3 is sleep with a satin cap or pillowcase. Like, that's gonna go, do a lot of work for you while you're sleeping, because you don't know how much you toss and turn while you're sleeping, how much friction there is against just like a regular cotton sheet and your hair. So there's friction, it's soaking up the moisture from your hair, it's doing double damage. So using that satin cap that's not going to take out moisture from your hair, that's not going to cause a lot of friction, is going to help you retain that hair length, right? Anything you can do to assist and help with the process, that's what needs to be done. Anything you can do, to prevent breakage, to prevent the friction, to prevent the wear and tear, is always going to help the process of retaining length, because it all adds up, right? Every little bit counts and it all adds up. So next tip is be mindful of the styles you are putting in. So you can put in a protective style that's not that good for you, depending on who's installing it. I like to do my twists just loosey-goosey about the place. They're going to stay intact, but they're not going to be so tight where my scalp is on fire, be so tight I'm always, touching something and trying to pat my head and, or whatever, to release that kind of pain and tension. And so you want something that's going to be comfortable. You don't want to be tormented for a whole month or 2 weeks or however long it takes for the feeling to come back into your head. So make sure you be mindful of the styles you put in, that it's not too tight, that's not going to be compromising like your edges or the back of your hair, or areas of your head that's like fragile. It's not going to be affecting your scalp, and that is actually a protective style, and that it covers the basis that helps you to not manipulate your hair but be comfortable. Next tip is be mindful of the clothes that you wear. This also very important things. We don't usually think about that when we style our hair or when we get dressed to go wherever, and we have different types of clothing, so it might be difficult to even try to, we're gonna wear this type of clothes because of my hair. But if you want to retain length, there's just some things you have to take into consideration, and if you do it often enough, it becomes more of a habit and you start doing it without even thinking too much. So I used to do this in the beginning when I started my natural hair journey, and then I sort of fell off a little bit. But I want to point out that this is something that's going to be helpful for you as well to retain length. So if your hair is by your shoulder or back or whatever it is, certain fabrics that you wear may rub against it, may cause friction and then cause breakage, right? There's been too many times when I have my hair out, I'm wearing whatever I'm wearing, and then I kind of feel like a little tug, and I look and it's my hair like getting wrapped up into the fabric itself, getting coiled into the fabric itself, and I'm like, how does that even happen? Who knows? But it does. It happens to me all the time. And so I wanted to make sure I point this out as well. Certain fabrics that you wear, if it's not silky or smooth, your hair, especially certain types of hair, they tend to like to coil around things very commonly, right? So you want to make sure you're taking that into consideration as well, because every little strand of hair you lose or break off, it's adding damage to your overall health of your hair, right? Next tip, be gentle with your hair and touch it maybe a little bit less. So while you put in your protective styles, while you're shampooing, while you're conditioning, while you're detangling, pre-pulling, whatever the process is, whatever you're doing to your hair while you're touching it, make sure you're being gentle. It's very easy, very easy to just, I want to get this done with and be quick with it. And when you're being quick, you're also just being rough, right? When I detangled my hair, you're not able to see that. It seemed like a quick, short process. It took me like maybe an hour and 30 minutes to detangle it, right? And it was in its good state at this point. There's been times when it's been so matted, so kind of like, stiff. I'm not sure why or what caused it, but there has been times when I've experienced that, and it might take you 3 hours. You just have to take your time. If you're in a protective style for maybe 3 months, 2 months, 1 month, it might be a little bit more matted, more tangled, more build up, more stuff in there, and you might have to take your time to make sure you're not causing damage while you're doing these things, right? While taking down the protective style, putting it up, whatever it might be. In this case, my hair was feeling really good, so it didn't need a lot of like detangling, but I wanted to make sure that I was going through it carefully because I knew I was going to leave in the protective style for a long time, hopefully, and I want to make sure that to start out with, it's just not tangled. After this, I'll probably just use finger detangling to detangle it, but because this is the beginning of the year, beginning of my protective style, challenge to myself, I wanted to make sure it was detangled properly and ready to go, and that way I don't have to worry about it getting too tangled too early, right? But yeah, also touch your hair less if possible. Even in this protective style that I have, I touch my hair all the time. I'm just, we are sometimes just obsessed, and it's just like a unconscious thing that we do. We touch our hair because it's like a woman thing to do. We keep touching her hair all the time, and it's unconscious. So be mindful of that as well. The protective style does protect you. It being a twist braid, it does protect your hair to some extent while you're touching it. But if you can even reduce that as well, put your hair up, tuck your ends under, then it's even better. Because like I said, every little thing adds up over time. So it does help being a protective style even if you touch it. But if you can reduce that as well, then go ahead, right? My next tip is eat good food and stay hydrated. So you want to make sure you're drinking a lot of water. Like, water is good, not just for your hair, but for all of your bodily functions. It goes hand in hand with everything, right? You need water. You need enough. So how to know if you get taken enough water or not? If you pee and it's bright yellow, it's too yellow, it's too much. If it's clear, then you're good, right? And so I'm pretty sure a lot of us have room to get more water in because your body needs that water. And so some people are like, oh, I don't want to drink too much water. Too much water can be a problem or da-da-da. I feel like it's unlikely that people are taking in too much water, but it's a possibility. But that's how you tell. When you pee, if it's like clear, then you're fine. If it's bright yellow or a darker shade of yellow, you need more water. You need a lot more water. So make sure you're being, conscious of that and drinking enough water to replenish your body and keep your whole body hydrated. If your whole body is hydrated, then your hair is going to get that from your body as well. So keep your body hydrated with water because, you need a healthy body to grow healthy hair. It's not just about staying hydrated, but it's about removing toxin and waste from your body, and that makes you healthy when waste and toxins are removed, and that makes your hair even healthier, right? Not just your hair, but we're just focusing on that right now, but you get the point I'm trying to make. It makes you overall healthy. All of the parts of your body that needs to be healthy will be healthy because you're doing what you're doing from the inside. Your skin, your eyes, whatever it is, it's gonna all be healthier because you're doing what you need to do, and it's coming from the inside out, and that plays a role in healthy hair as well. good foods, we all know that you get, vitamins and minerals from the food you eat, and so you have to make sure you eat good foods. You're not getting no vitamins from KFC. You're not getting no vitamins from McDonald's. You're not going to get it from Popeyes. You're not going to get it from any of these fast food places and restaurants. And so when I say good food, I mean real food. Food grown from the earth. Food that lives from the earth, and not just things that are processed. Like these foods you eat at a restaurant, not necessarily restaurants, but at fast food places, they are processed to such an extent where it might not even be recognizable to your body as actual food. You might recognize it and think it's food, but to your body, is it really food? Because it's been so processed that you're not getting nothing from that, right? Except for calories and fat. So be mindful of what you are eating as well. Eat fruits, eat vegetables, eat some nuts. Those are good for you. Leafy vegetables, green leafy vegetables are pretty much what they always say to go to, but make sure you're doing your research. Make sure you're speaking to your doctor, nutritionist, whoever it is, to eat the healthy things that you need. But I'm pretty sure we all know what's healthy. Things that you try not to eat, those are the healthy stuff. I've done it. I'm sure we've all done it. Reduce sugar as well, and processed food, and just try to eat the good and healthy stuff. That's gonna give your body what it needs. My next tip is keep hair moisturized, and keep it moisturized even before you need to moisturize, right? And I say this because we all know that we should moisturize our hair. Dry hair is just gonna break off. Dry hair is gonna be more susceptible to friction. It touches this, it touches that, before it break off already, and then you think my hair is not strong. Well, it might have survived a little bit of friction, but not friction and dryness all together, you know what I'm saying? So we already know that moisturizing our hair is good to prevent it from breaking off even more, not just from the dryness, but becoming more susceptible to all the things that we do to it on a daily basis without even realizing it. So you're gonna make sure you moisturize your hair, but I say even before it's needed, because there are many times I do my hair, I have it up in a style, I touch my hair and it's super moisturized, and then I blink, I touch it again, and it's like, wait, it's dry. When I say I blink, maybe it's like a day or two, but in your mind you're like, I just checked it on it seemed moisturized, it didn't seem dry, it seemed good. A day or two later, it's super dry. It's like you was in the Sahara desert for 2 weeks, and you're like, but it was just fine, right? And so I say moisturize it even before it's needed. Just come up with like a moisturizing routine where it's like 2 days, 3 days, then you moisturize it, 2 days, 3 days, and then moisturize it. Because the routine is gonna be based on what your needs are, and based on you just like looking at your hair, looking at what its needs are, and going based off of that. But definitely maybe 3 days at most, moisturize it again, then put it out to 2 days, moisturize it again. That way when you're getting to it, it's not already dry, because it can dry really quick without you even realizing it and without you really noticing it. And so if you do it before you actually need to moisturize it, then you're catching it right at the perfect stage to put in some more moisture and go again. And so it's probably better to get a routine to moisturize your hair than waiting for it to be, it's dry now, let me moisturize it. Because now you have to start from scratch. It's already experienced some dryness and the effects from it being dry. Then you put in moisture. It's not gonna, revert back to being undamaged after it's been dry and rubbing upon stuff, right? So you want to make sure it's moisturized before you need to get it moisturized. That way you're reducing any kind of damage that can come from that. Like I said, everything adds up. So you might not think it does, you might not feel like, this is doing anything, it's not important, but everything adds up, and you'll only see the results over time. So you might not see the results in a week, 2 weeks, maybe not even in a month. but maybe in 3-4 months you'll see the result, and you'll be thinking, okay, how did this happen? How did I get here? These are the things that get you here. Being consistent and consistently doing the things that you need to do. My next tip is maybe work out a little bit, right? I'm not telling you to become like a gym bro and be in the gym all day working out, but exercise your body a little, do a little bit of walking, do whatever you need to make your blood flow and pump and your heart pump just a little, because exercise, we all know exercise is good for us. There's never going to be any doctor that's going to tell you, oh, do not ever exercise, right? Unless you have some kind of a sickness that prevents you from doing it. But I think everyone around the world, around the continent, can agree that exercise is always going to be good for you. What type of exercise you do will depend on you, your health conditions, your doctor, and whoever advises you on what to do. But I think, we all should be doing some amount of workout, some amount of exercise, because that's going to benefit your body. And the point of this is anything that benefits your body, anything that makes your body healthier, is always going to make your hair grow faster and retain more length as well, because it's a part of you. It's all a part of you. So you taking care of yourself, that's just going to take care of everything on you. Alright, and that's gonna help the blood flow to be pumping, and it's just gonna be a positive effect on everything that you do. My next tip is try a few protein treatments. Our hair are gonna need protein at one point or another. We're gonna need protein for our hair to strengthen it. We might not need too much, we might not need a lot. So that's why I said few. Just do a few protein treatments. It doesn't have to be a lot. It doesn't have to be like every month. It could be every other month, every 2 months, or every 3 months. But do incorporate some kind of protein treatment that's gonna strengthen your hair, because the stronger your hair is, the more length you're going to retain, right? The more growth you're going to see, because your hair will be growing every month. It's growing, but you might not notice it if it breaks off. And so you want to make sure you have like a good protein treatment that you want to try every other month, every 3 months, something that's gonna give your hair that strength it needs. But why I say a few is that we all know that too much protein is just gonna make your hair too stiff, and if it's too stiff, it's just gonna break off. So you don't want to do too much. They say everything in moderation, right? You don't want to do too much. So you might want to focus more on moisture and do a little bit of protein. Your hair is gonna always need moisture. It might not need too much, but I don't know if there's usually cases where your hair is getting too much moisture. It's always a fight to get moisture in there. But yeah, you can definitely get too much protein very quickly, especially if it's being placed on the hair, not placed inside your body, right? So the best way to put protein in is through your body. But if you're gonna put it on your hair as a hair treatment, then it should be done in moderation. Every 2 months, every 3 months, or something like that. Whatever schedule you decide. But that's just serves the warning. Do not do it every week. It's not meant to be something like that. My next tip: dust your hair. I say dust just to get off those straggly ends, those split ends, those things that are not the ends. But do I say trim? People usually do like an inch or more. And sometimes when you go to like in the hair salon and say, hey, I want to trim, they're cutting it. So I say dusting, because do you need to cut off a lot of hair? I mean, if it's damaged and you can see and know that it's damaged, sure. But the things that we're cutting off all the time is going against the goals that we have to get longer hair. And so I say dusting just to get off those little damaged tips. But when I started my natural hair journey, they were like, trim your hair every 3 weeks, every 4 weeks, every so often, whatever. And I used to see like a lot of single strand knots, and I was like, oh, I gotta cut these off, gotta cut these off, gotta cut these off. And yeah, it stopped, retaining the length that I used to see. It started to plateau. And I realized I get single strand knots all the time. It don't matter what I do, single strand knots are there. I even tried to blow dry my hair a couple times, on like a low heat setting and try to stretch it, and I still have single strand knots, right? It's just how my hair is. It does the single strand knots. And so when I do my dusting now, I'm looking for like split ends more so than single strand knots, but I'll still cut off like the little tips because I'm doing very, very little. And you might even see in my video, it was fast forwarded, so you might not see, but I'm doing it very, very little, just the tip of the end. And if you're doing that consistently ever so often, it might not have that big of an effect on the overall length of your hair and growth compared to you doing an inch, 2 inch, 3 inch trim on your hair, because you're retaining 3 inches, for example. I mean, you could probably retain 6 throughout the year, but maybe you mess up throughout the journey, throughout the process, and you only retain 3 inches, and then you go cut off 3 inches, and what you have is just the same you had before, right? And so I understand the need to make sure you're growing healthy hair and it's good and not damaged, because we want healthy hair, but you don't want to cut out too much. And so if you do a little bit of dusting here and there, you'll get off those split ends that will prevent the damage from going all the way up the shaft and getting even worse. You'll still get those off, but you're not doing an inch, 2 inch, or 3 inches, or whatever inches that people be doing when they're cutting their hair. Because like for my hair, I have single strand knots that go all the way up. So if that's what I'm looking for, I'm going to be in some trouble. But we're all here learning what works for us. But I've done that before and it didn't work for me. It could work for you depending on your hair type and what specific struggle you have with the ends of your hair. But I would recommend just like dusting. I'm not saying don't do anything at all, but just a little bit of dusting, and when necessary as well. And then my last tip is use the things your hair loves, right? I was gonna say use good products for your hair, but that could be relative, right? That could mean different things to different people. And so I'm going to clarify it and say use the things your hair loves, right? So these doesn't have to be things that you purchase. You could do what I did and mix up some avocado, some bananas, get some like a hair mask recipe from online, mix those together if you have those, and use that as your hair mask, hair treatment, whatever. You could mix up your own concoction that doesn't involve you having to go out and buy a $30 bottle of a hair mask, or a $30 container of this or that, or $50, or however much they be selling their products for now. But you want to make sure it's something that's actually working for your hair. So it's not what's expensive, it's not what's popular, it's not what other people are using, it's what's going to be good for your hair. And so it could be anything, but you really have to put in that work and see exactly what is working for your hair and what makes it feel good, right? And you have to be present of mind. Like the other day, I had glycerin, been for a couple years now in my closet. I just didn't use it. I was using other things, and I was like, oh, I need to spritz some water on my hair and put some oil in it to get it moisturized. And it's just, I saw the bottle of glycerin and I was like, oh, I forgot about this. Let me put some of this in my water. It's just by chance, right? Because I've used it before, but I didn't use it a lot, and I didn't think it did that much, because when I was using it, I was also using it with other products. So it, when you use multiple things at the same time, it is hard to tell what is working and what's not working. And it's when you separate those things that you begin to see exactly what benefits each of those things have to offer. And so I used it before, but I didn't think it was all that. So I put it in my cover, left it, and that was that. And so as I'm trying to go through all the stuff that I have, I'm trying not to buy anything new. I'm trying to use up all I have, and I've emptied a couple of bottles of stuff already. And that clears up some space, and you can see some things. And I saw the bottle of glycerin, and I was like, oh, it's been a while since I used it. And I poured some in the water. I was just gonna spritz the water, and that was that. But I poured some in the water and swirl it around, and then I went to spray that and use my castor oil to lock in that water, lock in that moisture, right? And when I tell you my hair felt so good, I was like, it couldn't be. I guess maybe it's the time of year it is right now. It's not too humid outside, but I guess my hair likes it. And so I'm going to be continuing to use this as a way to put some moisture in. I do want to, try a few other things to, make sure I'm choosing what works best, and not just say, oh, find something, I'm stopping right here and that's it. But you can absolutely do that as well. You find something and you stick with what works. But I also want to see, okay, what else do I have that can also make my hair feel good? But I have to tell you, for me personally, that glycerin was working. It was working hard. Like 2 weeks later, baby was feeling good. And maybe it's like the glycerin combination with the castor oil, because I know castor oil works really well with hair as well. But I have since used like a regular conditioner in my hair, and then I had my little oil situation that I mixed together with castor oil, and it didn't feel the same as it felt with the glycerin. I mean, I know it's moisturized and all that, but when I had the glycerin in the hair and I felt it, it felt like gold, baby. It felt so, I was like, never, ever have I felt my hair like this. And so I want to try a couple things. Like I want to try like some herbs in my water, spritz out my hair. But best believe I have a bottle mixed with glycerin ready to go back to. I'm not going to be gone from it too long, but I did want to try like a rosemary herb, and I did want to try some other herbs, and just in my water, just spritz in my hair to see what feeling it gives. But you can definitely try that glycerin and see how it makes your hair feel. Put some castor oil at the end to lock in that moisture. Don't just spritz it by itself and that's it. But it was working real good for me. And I have to say, I was shooketh. I was surprised. But that is all my tips that I have for you for this video. Thank you so much for listening, for watching, and I'll see you again another time. Bye.